For nearly 13 hours, Bryce Laspisa sat in his car. He didn't sleep, he didn't drive away, he didn't ask for help. He just waited. His parents spoke to him on the phone, police officers checked on him in person. He told everyone the same thing. "I'm fine." By the next morning, Bryce Laspisa was gone, and to this day, no one knows why no one stopped him. Bryce Laspisa was 19 years old. He was a college student at Sierra College in Rocklin, California. He had moved there from Illinois, where he grew up in a close-knit family with his parents, Karen and Michael Laspisa. Bryce was described as intelligent, creative, and sensitive. He had a strong relationship with his parents and spoke to them frequently. By all accounts, Bryce did not have a history of mental illness. He wasn't known to be violent, reckless, or unstable. But in the weeks leading up to his disappearance, something had changed. Friends noticed Bryce becoming withdrawn. He stopped responding to messages. He gave away personal belongings. And perhaps most concerning of all, he began drinking heavily. In late August of 2013, Bryce's behavior began to alarm those around him. His roommate later told investigators that Bryce had been acting strangely. He was drinking excessively and behaving in ways that didn't make sense. At one point, Bryce gave away his Xbox, his diamond earrings, and other personal items. When asked why, Bryce didn't give a clear answer. For his parents, this would later become one of the most haunting details, because giving away possessions is often seen as a warning sign. But at the time, no one thought the situation would end the way it did. On August 27, 2013, Bryce left his apartment in Rocklin. He told his parents he was driving home to Laguna Niguel to visit them. It should have been a simple drive, about 8 hours. Instead, it became the last known journey Bryce ever made. As the day turned into night, Bryce didn't arrive. His parents tried calling him. No answer. Eventually, Bryce picked up the phone and told them he was tired and had pulled over to rest. This explanation seemed reasonable, but as the hours passed, something felt wrong. Bryce wasn't moving. Concerned, Bryce's parents contacted the authorities. A California Highway Patrol officer was dispatched to check on Bryce. The officer found Bryce sitting in his car. He appeared calm, he answered questions clearly. He showed no signs of intoxication. The officer asked Bryce if he needed help. Bryce said no. The officer left. This would not be the last time Bryce was checked on that night. Hours passed, Bryce still didn't move. Another officer checked on him later. Again, Bryce insisted he was fine. Again, no action was taken. At this point, Bryce had been sitting in his car for nearly 10 hours. Doing nothing, just waiting. Throughout the night, Bryce spoke to his parents multiple times. They begged him to come home. They asked him if he was okay. They asked if something was wrong. Bryce told them he loved them. He told them he would see them soon. But he didn't explain why he wasn't driving. This would later become one of the most disturbing aspects of the case. Bryce was communicating, but he wasn't explaining. As morning approached on August 28th, Bryce finally began driving again. But instead of heading home, he drove south, toward Castaic Lake. This decision would change everything. At approximately 2:30 a.m., Bryce's car was found crashed near Castaic Lake. The vehicle had gone off a 25-foot embankment. The car was heavily damaged, but Bryce was not inside. Investigators found his phone, his wallet, his laptop, everything except Bryce. Search teams immediately began combing the area. The terrain was rugged, but not impossible to navigate. Dogs were brought in. Helicopters searched from above. Nothing, no body, no clothing, no blood trail. It was as if Bryce had walked away and vanished. One of the most common theories is that Bryce intended to end his life. Supporters point to giving away possessions, heavy drinking, prolonged isolation. But there are problems with this theory. No body was ever found. No note was left. Bryce had multiple chances to act earlier, yet he didn't. Instead, he waited. Another theory suggests Bryce may have been experiencing a mental health crisis, a dissociative episode, a psychotic break. This could explain his indecision, his silence, and his strange behavior. But again, no trace of Bryce was ever found, which raises a terrifying question. How far can someone really go on foot without being seen? Some believe Bryce intentionally disappeared, that he staged the crash, that he wanted a fresh start. But this theory is difficult to support. Bryce left behind everything: money, identification, communication devices. Starting over without any of these would be nearly impossible. Years have passed since Bryce Laspisa disappeared. His parents continue to search for answers. They believe Bryce may still be alive. They believe someone somewhere knows something. And they continue to wait, just like Bryce did. Why did Bryce sit in his car for 13 hours? Why did multiple warning signs go unaddressed? Why was no one able to intervene? And most importantly, where is Bryce Laspisa? If you have a theory, share it below. Because sometimes the most terrifying mysteries aren't about what we know. They're about what we missed.